let's talk about maybe how the bees go find food and what they're eating right now. Um, there's a little thing that's called the waggle dance, and it's what a bee does to communicate with the others, maybe where they can find a source of pollen or nectar or even water. And it makes a little dance it waggles its butt and it makes a figure eight, kind of a little dance back and forth. And the way I understand it is the bee uses the correlation with the sun and where the hive's setting, and by the amount of wiggles it does, tells the direction and maybe distance of how far away a good source of food or nectar is. And anyway, I did see one do that last year on the outside of this hive. Maybe I can find some pictures of one doing the waggle dance, but it's kind of amazing how they communicate and let each other know where there's a good source of food. They also say that a beehive, they really are disoriented within a few feet, 10, 15 feet of their hive. It's kind of hard for them to find things. And if you'll notice these bees here, they're basically flying up and out, kind of like at the airport. So really right close to the hive, they really don't have a lot of action because they're constantly flying in and out and getting up into the air pretty quick. The only time I have noticed where they do forage a little bit closer to the hive here is early in the spring here. I had a little bit of pollen hanging up in this little bush here tree, and it was cool, and the bees were not flying very far, and they found that pretty quick and ate it. And I have noticed that in the summertime, as it gets a little warmer and drier, when things start drying up during a dearth, I have seen them close by eating maybe on some flowers or in this flower bed right here by the hive. But normally when it comes to feeding and so forth, you're supposed to move things a little bit away, at least 50 feet, 50 yards maybe away from the hive to prevent robbing from other bees. But I did set up a feeder last fall, probably about 50 feet back behind this feeder in the woods there, and they found it pretty quickly, and I was able to feed the hive some sugar supplement, water, syrup to get through the winter. So they did a good job at eating it. When these hive first started here this spring, the main thing they were probably eating, we had autumn olive trees were some of the first things that were blooming. I know they've gotten on it, the maple trees, and a lot of your early stuff, pollen they were getting was probably from trees. And I think the next came on the wild cherries. We have a lot of those around here. And then the flowers started blooming. So the bees are doing a lot with the flowers at the moment. But around the yard here, a bee will fly, I think, at least 2 miles away, maybe 2 to 3 miles from the hive to find sources. So I really don't know what they do once they leave this little spot. But here on this homestead, I have seen the bees eating at a few different locations, and I'm going to go around and just show you a couple bees, what they're eating on currently in this yard anyway. So like I say, it is getting warm. It's finally staying in the 80s here. Right now this is early morning here, so the bees are coming in and going out pretty good, but later in the afternoon as it gets warmer, they really kick in, and you'll see a lot of bees moving. Right there you can maybe see it. I'm a little far away, but they're bringing in some, looks like some orangish looking pollen, some white pollen at the moment. And this again is my A hive, and they've been doing very well. And I'll probably have to get in there and open up a few more bars to see how much comb they have to give them some more room. And the other hive at the moment, they're working pretty good too. So I'll take you over and show you a couple other things and maybe what the bees are doing at the moment. Here we are up at my little garden spot, and I think my wife says that this is called spiderwort, and I don't know if you can see them or not, but the bees have really been hitting this pretty good the last few days. You can see one here gathering pollen. Busy little bees. The last few days these flowers have been kicking in pretty good, and they've had a lot of honeybees on them. They close up at night, but during the day they're open, and you'll see a few little bees on them buzzing around gathering mostly pollen, I believe. And then I've got some stuff called, I think it's a ground cover sedum, and the bees have really been hitting this too pretty good. I've got a few right here in front of me. There's some, and they're really kind of crawling all over this. I think as the day goes on that they even hit it pretty harder later in the afternoon. Yesterday it was really busy with the bees. Plus there's some other little flying insects that are working on it too. And over here in my other little patch I have some herbs, some lavender, bee balm, and a few things. And there's some kind of a lemon balm plant too, parsley, and haven't really noticed anything there yet because the only thing blooming is the sage. And I think in the past they might have even gotten on some of the asparagus as it flowers out. Not for sure on that though. They should be flowering out here pretty soon. Let me take you over here. It's funny what you think bees should like and what they eat and what they don't. At the beginning of the season of the blueberries here, I would have thought that we would have lots of these honeybees messing with these blueberry plants I have, but I really didn't see many bees on them at all, hardly any. It was mostly more like wood bees, bumblebees, and other flying little insects or other types of bees, but the honeybees weren't really that attracted for some reason to these. But something pollinated them because they've really come on. They got a lot of berries on them this year. Right now honeysuckle is starting to bloom, and got a bee here I found. He's working on this little patch of honeysuckle. Hard to stay with him there, but we've got a lot of honeysuckle around here in this area, and the bees seem to be feeding off of it pretty good too. Quick little fellow, isn't he? Like I say, the honeysuckle is just coming on. It smells really good. Yesterday when I was looking at some of this honeysuckle, there were several bees on it flying around, and it's earlier in the day today, and I don't know if bees specifically hit different plants at different times, but it was in the evening yesterday, and there was probably 30-40 bees on this big bush of honeysuckle. Okay, this is the last stop here. My wife, she's in charge of all the flowers and all the flower gardens around this place, and this year we decided, since we're liking bees, that we'd try to plant a few things. So we bought a few bags of bulbs that are bee friendly and butterfly friendly, and most of the stuff has popped up. Hopefully by August, September, these flowers will be blooming, and they'll be able to give the bees a little bit of something to eat later in the season. Yeah, I just even noticed on my way home from work that the catalpa trees, they're blooming pretty good right now. Several of them on the way home. The white Dutch clover, of course, is blooming. Uh, there's so many possibilities that's on the bees menu right now. I'm sure there's more than 40 or 50 things that they could be getting their nectar and their pollen and stuff they need to make honey from. And I guess this time of year, at the end of May, is when their busy season is, and I'd say they have to make the honey while the flowers are in blooming. So they're doing a really good job. Hopefully, in the next few weeks, maybe into June here, I think that's when I got us some honey last year. We'll have to get into the hive and see if there's enough that maybe I can take a few combs out and taste what they've been making. So thanks again for watching. God bless, and have a good day.